everybody, and welcome back to the NESGameMaker. So last time we left off with our Moblin enemy who throws I guess let's use a more descriptive verb there, who chucks spears at Link. And we have one more enemy to go before we are finished with all of our enemies. So let's get cracking on that. Come over here to your Moblin and, well, we're going to duplicate him again. We're not going to use everything exactly the same, but a lot of stuff will be kept the same, you know. Enemy underscore dealer. Dealer is our last enemy here. Over here, let's give him a new sprite. Sprite. Enemies. Where are you? There you are. Dealer. There we go. And let's pop open that create event. Make this a little bit bigger so we can see it easier. And let's go through all this and make it acceptable for the new character. We're going to have this method is still the same. Taking damage, we're going to lose our damage, go into iframes, We need to include a less than or equal to because the dealer dies pretty much instantly. Or was it they freeze before they die or something like that. Can't remember the exact way it works. But update our enum to dealer states because he's going to need move, drop, and dead. Coming down to our animations. Alright, image speed is 0 to start. Animation speed is 1. Dir 8.right, dir 4.right, dealer states.move. Iframes, false. Iframe length, 0.5. -1, -1. Floor, sec times 1. 12, false, 0. Sprite palette. Dealer. Frames in state. 0 palette index. And we don't really need, do we need, oh yeah, we do need the distance to player because he needs to know how far he is for the player because once he's close enough to the player, he will drop down. So, direction to player, dir 4. And like with the bot over here who randomly flips state, we need to bring in the state switch timer. Your Y level, which is where basically what is the ceiling for you? Where do you ceiling at? And drop down. So that's going to be a switch that we use. It tells it to drop down as opposed to rise back up towards the ceiling. Alright, come down to our HP, 2, damage 8, experience given is 2. And all these things, we have our X fractions, Y input 0, 0, ground excel 0.5. I didn't bother with air excel because he doesn't go into the air. He is airless. So I just removed all the air stuff. Jump speed, -15.5. Probably don't need that either because he's not jumping, but, you know, I'm pretty much just leaving it there. Make that 1.0 for the air speed. I don't know if I actually use it or not. All the rest of it is the same. You're the same. And we need to update our sprite indexes with the new indexes. Alright, good. So that ensures that we got all the right sprites coming out. So everything's in there. Make sure that you have updated everything properly before we move on. Let's come over to the step event. And we are going to do some stuff. Here, Uh, Actually, this is pretty much verbatim what I have over in my project code because I copied the Moblin to create the dealer step event too because well, the code is copyable. So I still had this little comment about Moblin in the dealer over here, and it's just kind of outside of the area of necessity. So that's the same. We don't have anything about no, we do have a distance to player because you're greater than 384. Stop you, freeze you. Ground check. Uh, do I even need this? No, I don't. You could probably delete that, but I didn't bother because it doesn't hurt anything to have it hanging around in there. But if performance is super important and necessary to you, you can delete it. So because of the way that the damage check and stuff goes, we go from, instead of having the damage check before timers, we have the timers before the damage check because he can take damage and he freezes in place when he takes damage. That's why the timers are there beforehand, so that you can stop, so that the timers will continue to count down, but you'll be frozen in place and not able to actually take any effect. Not able to do anything in the meantime. This is the same as with Bitten Bot, I believe. So damage check will let's see. Yeah, it's pretty similar to this guy. Yep, so exactly the same there. So if we are currently in iframes, then approach my iframe timer towards -1. And if the iframe timer has reached 0, then set iframes to false. Reason why iframes is there instead of just referring to the timer all the time because, well, it's more convenient to have a Boolean line or running around for checking things than always checking to see if iframes is equal to 0. Damage flash timer also should be approaching -1. I actually probably have that in there extraneously. I probably don't need that. Probably get rid of this too. Oh well. That's just the way I had it. Ooh. Apparently I forgot to update this in my code too. But luckily, Moblin states.dead and dealer states.dead resolved to the same number, 2. So it didn't kill anything to have that in there. But if you had different state setups in your stuff, then it would have had a problem. Instance create layer affects death explosion, and make 2 of these for him. Yeah, because the dealer doesn't need 2, he only needs 1. Now, are we creating those over here too? Yeah, we're creating it over here. So we don't even need this. I feel like I have a bunch of random stuff that did not need to happen still happening inside of my step event here. Oh well. So finally, since we've already taken care of that, we can just do our state execution at this point. So that'd be as per normal in most of our other and everything else. Let's see, what else do we got here? So draw event should be the same. Oh wait, that's right. We have one slight difference for dealer. So we have all this stuff as normal, right? But when we drop down from the ceiling, we want to draw the spider silk that the dealer creates. So if state is equal to state.drop, let's see, I draw this on the effects layer. Oh yeah, that's right. Because you can't change what depth your character is at. and dealer is on the enemy's layer, well, his cord will draw on the enemy's layer, unfortunately, because that's the way it just works. You can't tell it to draw on different layers, unfortunately, in GameMaker, but maybe in the future that'll change. Who knows? So that could cause a slight graphical glitch, possibly, maybe. Probably nothing to worry about. There's much worse in the actual game. Draw underscore set color white, draw set alpha 1, and draw line. So you just draw from your current X and Y level, so the ceiling towards X and your current Y level, where you're currently at. So that just draws a line between the two places. Or you could also use the draw underscore line underscore pixel. I have to draw a rectangle pixel, draw a line. No, I don't have that function in there. Should be a draw line pixel somewhere, but I don't have that in there. Basically, it's a more advanced function of draw line, which draws it using pixel instead of using the built-in stuff, which is theoretically more efficient, but I don't know if it really matters. Maybe in some applications. Anyway, so I'm just kind of rambling here. So let's go back over to our move states now at this point. And we can delete this bit because we don't have throwing. And basically we're going to delete all this because we have a much simpler way of doing it. Because the dealer is much simpler than the Moblin. He just moves towards the player. If the distance to the player is greater than 2, then move me towards the player. Otherwise, set my speed to 0. In the actual game, the dealer doesn't actually stop moving. He just sort of keeps overshooting and moving back and forth, so he has like a wiggling bad effect that happens when you let that happen in the game. But in this case, I fixed it by just adding a little pixel requirement to how far he has to be from the player before he'll stop moving. You can put that to 1 too if you feel like it, but I just set it to 2 for whatever reason. There was no real reason. Speed fraction should be the same. Collision and movement should be the same. So let's knock all those down because we don't need them around. The last thing we need to actually adjust here would be the animations. Image speed is equal to animation speed. Image Y scale is equal to -1. So make sure that, see, currently he's not right side up for the dealer. The dealer should be upside down on the ceiling. So make sure he's flipped upside down on the ceiling. Then flip me back and forth for a walking animation. So every 8 frames, flip me back and forth. So very simple. And frames in state plus plus. So let's go to actual state switching here. Drop state. I thought it was very clever when I came up with this, I guess, or something. So if frames in state is greater than or equal to the state switch length, so the state switch length, as I have set it up here, is 6 seconds, every 6 seconds, I believe. Let's make sure about that here. Yeah, 6 seconds. Dealer will attempt to switch from the move state to the drop state if he is close enough to the player within 96 pixels. So then he'll switch into the drop, and state switch length will be set back to 6 seconds again, and make sure that the X speed is set to 0. Where you won end with wild movement. That's an interesting typo. Where you will end up with wild movement. The first time I did it, basically what happened was I set up everything and then I forgot to set the X speed to 0 when I switched between the states. So the dealer started dropping down, but because the X speed hadn't been switched to 0, he just started sliding over in one direction or the other and didn't stop while he was doing his little drop animation. So, yeah, that's not very effective, is it? So we don't need a throw state. We're not doing throwing. We're going to replace this with the drop state. Let's kill all that. Acceleration. Drop down 128 pixels towards the player. So, yeah, I don't know if there's a fix or if it's terrain-based. I don't believe that the dealer ever appears in a place where you could actually have it drop down and hit something other than the player. So, no idea. So I just fixed it at 128 pixel drop down. So the Y speed should be 2 times walk speed because he drops at 2 pixels per frame and when he's dropping down. But once he's done dropping down, he has to get back down. He has to get back up to the ceiling. So he gets back up to the ceiling at negative walk speed. So at 1 pixel per frame as opposed to 2 pixels per frame. All right. Speed fractions, same as normal. Collisions movement, same as normal. Animation, he flips over when he's falling down. So he looks like this when he's falling down towards the player. Then it says if my Y minus my Y level is greater than or equal to 128, then I finished dropping down. And if my Y is less than or equal to my Y level, so if I've reached the ceiling again, then set me equal to the Y level to ensure that I am level at that point. And I could have just used approach there. Y equals approach Y to the Y level. Well, whatever. So flip me back and forth for a walk-in animation again. Every 8 frames he flips back and forth even while he's dropping down in a walk-in animation. Or does he not? I can't remember. Maybe I just left that out on accident. But it's there. And yeah, that should be everything for the animation. Remember when drop down, then drop up in the acceleration. States, dropping state. Then once the frames in state is greater than a second, so if you've been in the state for at least a second and you're back to the ceiling, then go back to the move state. Set drop down to true for the next time you go and do your drop down. And make sure you remember to set the Y speed to 0 or else you'll just continue to fly off the screen. So I learned my lesson the second time with that. All right, and dead state should be the same. Yay. All right, so that's all of our enemies done. Make sure your parent is set to enemy there. So next time, we are going to be working on the paraphernalia that goes along with all of our enemies so that we can actually start debugging all these little guys we put together and see them in action, right? So we're going to need to create actual spawners, and we're going to need to create the item drop explosions so that when they die, they can drop items for the player. So let's close all that, and we'll get to that next time. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and I'll let Past Me take it away with Patreon names now. I'd like to thank my Legacy Patreon supporters for their support during the NESGameMaker postseason hiatus. James Burton, JD Lowe, Suli, and Bezia. I'd of course also like to thank my current NES GameMaker Patreons for their support during the current NES GameMaker season. Kenneth Klein, Vladimir, Jamal, Fernando, Sergez, and Daniel. Your support helps make the NES GameMaker happen and helps support future projects from me. So until next time, remember to have good luck with your coding.